afternoon. Thanks for your time and attention. I'm Madelyne. I'm currently a graduate student at Princeton, based in Boston for the semester, presenting on some work that I've been doing with Sarah, who's in the audience, Misha, who unfortunately is not. Yeah, without further ado, this is secret vector search, very much a work in progress. And this is work that we're doing in conjunction with journalists and engineers at the Digital Witness Lab, which is attached to the Center for Information Technology and Policy based at Princeton. Yeah, and so I think this actually feels, I'm grateful actually to have gone just immediately after Camilla. I think the second use case that she was discussing, where you sort of are building out a system for private querying for journalists, feels very relevant to our prospective use case. The folks that we're working with are very interested in understanding the prevalence of election-related misinformation on WhatsApp channels, particularly private channels. Currently in India, I think they're going to be turning their attention in June to elections in Mexico. And so our proposed use case is one in which we have at least 3 stakeholders, a data donor, someone on the ground, a database query, or probably a journo working with that donor, and then us, WhatsApp Watch, which is also the project, which is like the larger ecosystem within which SVS is operating. I was trying to think about how precisely to visualize the inputs and outputs for this work. And my first thought actually was of the Google Trends dashboard, where you maybe are typing, you know, some trend, some string, maybe like Heidi Klum worm, to pick an anodyne example, and you receive just some notion of the frequency and temporality of searches related to that particular string over a span of time. And you could see, you know, this predictably peaked around Halloween of last year when Heidi Klum famously showed up to her, I think it was like the Vanity Fair Halloween party dressed as a worm. Anyways, so what do we want? We want accuracy of query results, and we want privacy for privacy actually on the database. We don't actually care so much if the queries are unclear, but certainly the message contents should be encrypted. Definitely not unclear. Oh, and I guess just to give some indication of what actual aggregate statistics we're computing on these message embeddings. Right now, we're just looking at frequency as far as proximity to an input string, a query string. And we're operating here in the realm of embeddings. So no sort of a priori keyword lists per se, just probably a BERT model turning out 768 dimension vectors of strings. And likewise for the message database. So I guess in greater detail, you have Alice, Bob, and Charlie, who are your data donors on the ground. They, client side, we have an SVS or WhatsApp Watch bot that encrypts, well, first injects some DP noise and encrypts those noised embeddings, sends them to our server, and then the journalist at the point of query can sort of in real time ping the encrypted database with message strings and obtain some sense of the frequency of appearances of those related content within that particular message corpus. So one problem that we've been grappling with since the start of this work has been something that we've been calling the layered query attack. We've been trying to address this in a number of ways, some more effective than others. The first line defense was the injection of DP noise. The second has been something that we've been calling just a ball radius for sort of filtering query results. The idea being that, you know, in this setting, a one-dimensional embedding space with the pink dots representing database entries and the green dots, the green parens representing a journalist's query. You can sort of scoop up all eligible queries within that radius, sort of like a fuzzy ball around the actual, around an actual hit. And hopefully foreclose the possibility of someone identifying the presence or absence of a single very specific message within the database. But that does not completely foreclose the possibility of someone very cleverly overlaying a series of many, many queries that are maybe similar, but just so different, and possibly allowing them to infer the presence or absence still of something maybe in the neighborhood of something that you're interested in. Maybe a social security number. That would really suck, but yeah, just a possible case. Yeah, so we had a first shot implementation of this that used DP noise to prior to encryption, followed by some aggregate statistics happening in FHE. Unfortunately, so even with like a higher privacy allowance, actually, the projection down to lower dimensions that we were doing even in advance of the noising, the utility loss from that actually superseded even a higher privacy budget. So dimensionality will do that to you. Too much noise, alas. And so a sort of V2 that's in the works is one in which we perform some sort of clustering instead of just DP noise, and then do some form of MPC just for speed up sake on the resulting clustered centroids. So yeah, I think currently the issue is one of dimensionality, one of noise, one of balancing accuracy and privacy concerns, all probably familiar issues in this space. But yeah, I think this is a 5 for 5 session, I believe. So this was very whirlwind. I'm happy to talk offline if we go over time, even more than I already have. But I'm absolutely seeking suggestions, critique, wisdom regarding any of the following and more. So obviously clustering in high dimensions, an issue, DP for NLP, a pressing issue for us right now is just balancing privacy guarantees with language utility, just the outputs of the embeddings that, the semantic sense of the outputs that we're receiving, making things fast, making things accurate, obviously a trade-off there. Yeah, thanks for your time and attention. Happy to talk here offline.